Well, Christopher, it's always good to see you because you're a pleasant guy to be around. You always do good interviews, and there's always something nice to talk about. And this time it's Superman 4. Now, as we speak, as they say on television, as we speak, I have not yet seen the movie, but I do know that the central theme of it is that Superman is out to rid the universe of nuclear armaments. So my question to you is that your own personal philosophy as well, since you're the co-writer?
Okay, well, we need to just adjust that a little bit, because Superman is not out to do anything other than just be a friend when people need him. He's not campaigning, and I think it's important to put that over. What happens is that a group of children are discussing the current arms negotiations between the U.S. and the Soviets and the apparent lack of progress. And a kid is doodling in the back of the class, is drawing a picture of Superman, and suddenly says, why doesn't Superman just get rid of all these weapons? I mean, if the grown-ups say they don't want these weapons, why doesn't he just get rid of them? So it's a very naive kind of fantasy, and it's important that we don't think about this in too real terms. But to a 12-year-old, I mean, there is that fantasy, I guess we all have, is if just somebody could just show up and fix it, you know? And that's really what happens here. So Superman gets a request from this kid, and that makes him think, because the Superman operating manual, or the instructions he got from Dad back on Krypton, say never interfere in human destiny. And at the same time, Superman feels, well, I really live on Earth now. Krypton has been destroyed. I can't go home. This is my home. Well, doesn't that mean I have to take more responsibility? So that's one of the central dilemmas in it, is what's he going to do? And he finally decides that, yes, he will intervene. So I just think it's important not to portray him as a crusader, because then if you bring him too much into the real world, then why doesn't he fix the hunger in Ethiopia and settle the apartheid situation in South Africa? And you're getting into a whole area that he really doesn't belong. We're first and foremost, this is entertainment. What we're trying to do is appeal to a basic emotional level of wouldn't the world be better if. And I guess most importantly, if there is a message we're trying to put across in the film, it's just that in a line he says at the end of the movie, he says, I just wish you could all see the Earth the way that I see it. Because if you really look at it, it's just one world. And what he means by that is it's not politically, it's from his point of view up in space. And you look at the world the way the space shuttle sees it. Those pictures when the Earth is this beautiful marble floating in space? And he said, if you could just see that, then maybe you'd start to think that you're living in a small town rather in this enormous globe with conflicting interests. So that's what we're about. Now, sorry, I didn't answer your question. But personally, I don't think that the debate about whether a world free of nuclear weapons can really be solved that easily, because you get into a whole situation of what would happen of the balance of conventional forces once nuclear weapons are removed, and I don't have enough information on that.
Okay. Chris, did you ever think you would end up in the Smithsonian?
No. I used to come here on school trips from New Jersey, and my mother would bring me. My mother was really into teaching her children about America's history, and we always had a February break, 3 days around Washington's birthday, and we would go to Salem, Massachusetts, or we'd go to Boston and follow the Liberty Trail, and we would come to Washington and go to the Smithsonian and go to the monument. And she made me climb all the steps of the Washington's monument when I was about 9. And it took me most of the morning, but I got there. And I remember coming to the Smithsonian and loving it. And I think to be there and to have this character enshrined as a part of mainstream American culture is very satisfying.
What did you see that particularly impressed you about Superman, or something maybe you didn't know before?
Well, my honest answer to that is what impressed me most was that I was a lot taller than George Reeves. And then I had my costume here and George Reeves' costume there, and he needed shoulder pads and I didn't. So I feel that all those sit-ups were worth it. Or those shoulder raises, whatever.
Chris, what about the flying sequences this time? Because I read or heard someplace that they're a little different this time than they have been in the past. And I don't know, is it the way you executed them or what?
No, they've shifted from front projection to blue backing, which is just in blue backing the scenery is added later in the laboratory. In
Right.
front projection, it's projected at the time, and you really get instant results. But the audience would never know the difference. So I don't really know how to answer that.
But the effect you think is the same?
Yeah, in fact, blue backing should be a little bit better because you have more time to work on it.
Yeah, okay. This time you're the co-writer, and this time we have different producers, Golan and Globus, instead of the Salkinds. Now, how did that come about, where we have the different producers from the other three?
Well, the blunt answer to that is that after Santa Claus, which was made by the Salkinds, they did Supergirl and Santa Claus back to back, both of which didn't make it. So they lost their credibility with their pre-buyers in Thailand and overseas, where they do the way you bank a film is you pre-sell overseas and get guarantees, and then you raise money to go and shoot. And so their credibility was wearing a little thin. They realized they had to sell. So they struck a deal with Cannon. It was one of these napkin deals done at the Cannes Film Festival, and I think Cannon bought the rights for like $5 million in an afternoon. Just signed here, but they didn't have an actor. But this was no problem for Cannon because, he doesn't want to play Superman, get another one. And that's always been their attitude. That's why they're called the Go-Go's, because they have these really radical ideas like, go, who cares? And so then they got in business with Warner's, and then they called me up and said, so, now play Superman. And I said, not so fast, guys. We don't have an idea yet. And so they kept putting pressure on to sign. I wouldn't sign. Until finally, in the middle of 1985, a combination of events gave me an idea for Superman 4, and then we were in business.
Now, had the Salkinds come to you and said Superman 4, would you have gone along with that? I
said, well, let's talk, guys, because 3 didn't work. Let's figure out how to fix it. That would have been my answer.
So you weren't too happy with Superman 3?
No. But still, it grossed $40 million. No, it netted $40 million domestically alone. So, we should all have more flops like that. But by Superman standards, it wasn't what I consider a worthwhile film.
Now, the picture you're doing with Kathleen Turner and Burt Reynolds, is that finished now?
I wish it was. No, I'm still shooting. I've got another 6 days to go, and then I start a play the day after that. So my dance card is filled right now.
It's too bad you just can't find employment. I'm sorry if you're... Well, time is up, but it is good to see you, and I look forward to Superman 4. I'm a big Superman freak. I love it.
I think you're going to like this one.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. Very nice.